are listening to Fresh Air Community Radio, KFAI 90.3, and worldwide at kfai.org. Right now, as John Trudell fades in, I want to remind you that this is Desert Islands, the show where I make mixtapes based on my guests' 10 records they bring to a desert island. Today, I'm making a mixtape for David Huckfelt, who we'll be speaking with live on the internet and on the air quite shortly. But I'm going to stop talking, and I think we should start listening. Here's John Trudell here on KFAI. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much for doing this. I know there's a time is crazy.
I know, yeah. We'll just let it be crazy. It's totally good.
Yeah, exactly.
All good.
So you were recently, I don't know, I have no idea where my mate went. There we go. You were recently in Palisade, Minnesota with the Indigo Girls and Annie Humphrey and a lot of like really, really like important people. How like that must have been amazing. Like
yeah, everybody there is important, man, because they need the numbers and they need new people who don't know what's going on to find out what's going on. And it was kind of, I mean, it was a beautiful day on many fronts, but also, you know, while we were playing music and lifting up our spirits, they were arresting people and blockading people just down the road. Becoming physical with some of the water protectors, and yes, it's disgusting, to tell you the truth.
It is. It's like so the last time last time I was talking about this on my show, I actually got some message where like, I wish you wouldn't get political, and it's just like, how is this a political issue? Can you enlighten me how exactly this is a political issue? Because if any of those things leak, which they will, they always do, every single one we've ever built has leaked, there goes the drinking water of the Twin Cities. There goes the drinking water of a lot of people. Like, it's just...
I tell you what, I mean, my opinion, and I'm no expert, but even if the pipeline itself is flawless and it never leaks,
shouldn't be there in the first place.
The extraction process from the tar sands is enough to raise the global temperatures and carbon emissions. It's like, it doesn't matter, it's so wrong. There's 92 ways that it's wrong, and every one of them is catastrophic,
and more catastrophic than the next, especially since like it's like this weird 2-for-1 put it as an addiction. And as someone who grew up in a household of addiction, that feels pretty on the money to me, because there's this feeling of like, okay, the first step of solving a problem is admitting there is one, and a lot of us are still stuck in that stage. And then there's a whole nother grieving process on top of that. Like, you have this whole type of population who's on board with what's going on and knows the truth about it. And then there's a whole nother level of, once you get there, there's this weird denial of acceptance where it's like it's either met with hopelessness or rage, where it's just like, even though they know the correct answer, it's still met with that's just not how the world works. It's like, How does the world work then?
Well, I think you're onto something, Doc. I think OBA, Oil Barons Anonymous. I mean, they get them in. They can wear those nice suits and those khakis, and they can show up and say, my name is, Roger. I'm an oil baron, and I'm powerless. Even though I have enough money to change the world, but I'm just addicted to more. I mean, that dude from Enbridge was a little worried, I think 2 weeks ago, that he was going to get kicked off the 10 richest Canadians list, but he managed to hold his spot.
Good for him.
Jeez. We got a seat for you at Oil Barons Anonymous, my friend.
It's a good club. It's catered.
With water. We serve water.
Am I? Oh, there we go. Sorry. Yeah, it's catered. It's a good. It's a lot like that. It's a lot like that scene in Doctor Strangelove, where it's just
for sure.
it's just all the cats in the war room, and there's this whole thing of just I almost feel like maybe we just need to capture all the oil barons and all the huge 1%ers and just kind of put them in that room and give them a TV show. Just air it nowhere, but just make them think that they're as important as they want to be, and then just kind of seal that off, and then just, like I don't know, what was that, like Ayn Rand thing, going golf? It's just like, all right, let them have their island, let them live on their island, let them think they're running the show. This continues with or without them.
I kind of my mindset would be more of like a hostage situation where it's like, we'll give you, there's 2 cups, man. You're locked in there, and you're locked in there for a week. There's a cup of oil and there's a cup of water, and you can drink whatever one you want to stay alive with. But
you still have a choice. You're still free. You're still free to do whatever you want. And
the VIP. It's a VIP room. They'll love it.
I mean, it's the same choice we're getting, essentially.
Yes.
But yeah, thank you for going up there and just being a part of that. It's just, I'm still kind of shocked that we're still trying to put another pipeline in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the last one was struck down, and it's just like, what's different this time? And you're right, the tar sands, like, even if we take away the pipelines, the fact that that's still up there, just kind of radiating heat is like a whole, and I don't know, this whole thing is overwhelming enough, just because like there's also like corporate factory farming adding to this as well, and like there's like so many things where it's just like, whew. I mean,
we're also, this is Minnesota, man. We have an embarrassment of riches, natural resources. You want to hunt all the wolves out of the state and then call your basketball team the Wolves. You want to the loons are going away, the moose are going away. It's like, pretty soon there won't be nothing left that makes Minnesota except for except for the money. A handful of jobs, that don't last very long. I mean, we could do clean energy so well. We could grow so many things with all this water. Winona has her hemp farm. I mean, hemp can do almost everything oil can do if you prepare for it. So it's kind of, we've been degraded. Our intelligence has been insulted with 4 years of what's his name, and then we've just been degraded because the assumption is these people know what they're doing. They don't. They don't know what they're doing. They're not smarter than you. They're not, they have straw man arguments and straw man businesses. That we don't need it. Yes. We don't need the oil. We don't. No. I'm sorry.
No.
You know what I mean?
We don't need a lot of this. And it's just crazy because like it's like a process of gaslighting too. Because like this goes all the way back to the 70s with like there's just like leaked memos of like Exxon Oil and a lot of these big oil companies like actually talking within the company and just like going like, okay, almost treating it like trouble ahead here, fellas. Like they knew exactly what was going on, and rather than like what I don't understand is, and I think it's because it goes back to the addiction thing, because like the amount of money grubbing there is, like they could have just foresaw it, pivoted, and tried to corner the market on renewables.
Yeah.
But they didn't. Like they almost had a plan of like, this is going to get really bad for a lot of the world. So let's just get as rich as possible. We're going to have to transition, but let's see how long we can keep the grift going.
Yeah, you can't monopolize renewables. You know what I mean? You just can't. That's what makes them renewables, is that you could grow them. So
Well, it's like it's an important fight, and it's one that I have tried to organize. Well, like when we could have shows, we would try to do annual benefits where we're just like, all right, we're just sending money to these organizations, to the water protectors, getting them supplies, and it's just kind of spooky to watch. Like, man, things are wait, are things changing? What has changed since?
Yeah.
You know, like, but it there is some change. I don't know. This is where I throw my hands up and say, I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't.
Well, you know, more than money, it's more than money. It's bodies and people. You know what I mean? With the need right now, and it's like, you know, I want to just say thank you to you guys for playing Democracy Now! Every day. You know,
it follows this show every time. It's one of my favorite programs. It's as enlightening as it is discouraging sometimes.
Yeah.
You know?
You have to be. Yeah, it's truth serum, man. You can't. You know, it's not going to make you feel good. It's just gonna. I remember growing up in Iowa, whenever there was a severe storm or a tornado, there was one guy who would cut into whatever show was going on and tell you, while you sat in your basement, you know, tell you what was going on out there. And that's what Amy Goodman is, to my opinion. She's an emergency broadcaster, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
So,
and it's totally I've heard it put learning hurts. Yeah. It can be a violent action.
You know what hurts even worse, Doc? Not learning. So bad.
Exactly. Yeah. So this song has a few seconds, and then we're going to be on the radio as well as the internet.
Cool.
I've noticed some people do internet only, and some people do radio only, and some people do both. So if I bring up some of the similar things, that's why.
Great. Yeah, I like both, man.
All right, so stand by. Okay, it only ever rains. That's all it ever does. Lucio Dre, Jackie Bird before that, Lovesick Blues, and John Trudell. Look at us at the top of the set. We are now joined by David Huckfeld. We've been chatting off mic for a few minutes now. If you're one of the folks that likes to play at home, but this is Desert Islands, and I am making a mixtape for David Huckfeld today, based on the 10 records he would bring to a desert island. And we were having a conversation about going up to Palisade, Minnesota, and just, you know, being part of the water protection up there. But also the Indigo Girls were up there, and Annie Humphrey, who's going to be joining you this Saturday.
Correct.
As well. I wanted to talk about your latest album as well as the residency. I want to make sure we get all the who's, the where's, and the why's. But can we just talk about what it's like to kind of be a part of that moment and actually perform on the water itself? I saw some of the videos with that, and how did that come about? How did you end up at that day, at that moment in time with those people?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's when you live through the emergency that was the last 4 years, and then the heightened emergency that's been the last year and a half. I think only the densest musician would not have the thought like, okay, maybe how can my music be useful during a long emergency, you know? And
yes,
where can we plug it in? What can we do with this? Like there's a vortex for a musician who has to live on social media and talk about themselves all the time, and it'll make your heart sick. And so me and my friends, you know, me and Keith Secola, Annie Humphrey, Quilt Man, Jackie Bird, like that's something in the indigenous community. There aren't, you know, protest singers and like you show up in person, and then you give it as a gift. And so, you know, for Winona LaDuke put this concert together, I think in a matter of days.
I know, it was so short notice.
And it's like I say, you know, someone comes over to your house and says, hey, you know, is there anything I can help you out with? It's like, or you go over to someone's house, you take a look around, and you start doing stuff, you know, respectfully. But we just
Yeah.
wanted to put together the music. The Indigo Girls were coming, and like we were talking, it was a beautiful day of music, and yet at the same time, the Enbridge kind of security detail took the opportunity to arrest some folks nearby and to use the distraction to push things along. So it takes both, though. Without the music, it's pretty hard to lift the spirits up, especially for folks who've been up there for months, working tirelessly. So yeah, I think that's this is 2021. We are in late stage capitalism, and all hands on deck,
it totally is. And I know we like went through this whole pandemic scenario, and a lot of things got exposure, and a lot of things were brought to awareness, and this movement never stopped. If you go on the internet, it's almost like a deliberate misdirection effort to be like, oh yeah, well, didn't we already do that? No, we're doing it. It's happening now. It's an ongoing thing, and a lot of these themes are present in your latest record, and I love looking at this list too, because it's really inspiring to me that listing some of the artists you put in, you actually got to work with some of these folks. I mean, you're playing with Annie this Saturday, but also like you have recordings of some of the people you listed on these records, not only on your latest record, but with some old stuff in the Pines as well. You got to work with some monumental voices in this community, and it's really inspiring to me. And
I appreciate that, Doc. It's almost like there's this, stories about Chuck Berry back in, when he would tour, he would demand that his promoters, they find these rare, super rare, silver face Fender Deluxe amplifiers, and then if they didn't find them, then he would charge them for that. So when I put that list together for you, I was like, let's see if Doc can find this stuff.
Well, I hope. Find it? I hope I could find all of it, and there's I think I did, but you'll have to listen and check my work, because there's always that time where it's just like, is that the right recording? Is that the right version? Is that the right, or is this the? I did my best to track it down, and I always love a challenge. That's like one of my favorite things about this show is when I'm making the mixtape. Like and maybe this is just because I've been a public school teacher for the last 10 years. I like giving homework assignments, apparently. But I think there is a level of communication of, like this, you gave me this gift, and I'm trying to do my best to honor that. And also like do add some other things that I think might complement the conversation as well. There are a lot of rules. It's really hard to do. And I'm really glad that you've been able to take some time and visit this program, because you are a busy cat right now. On top of, I believe the record came out in March. What is it? Ooh, is that right? Wow. Yep. Wait, I can't believe it's July. Sorry, but you have a July residency. I have no idea. So I'm told. So I have read. But I want to make sure we also hype up this residency as well, because this Saturday, but every Saturday in July at Ice House.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say just real quick about, you ask about the collaborations and about, the sort of the activism and the music. Like to be clear too, I mean, music, nothing's more boring than a folk song or a folk singer that insists upon, always having to make a point, in other words, it's like music for its own sake that doesn't seem to have a political bone in its body is political because it frees your mind up, and there's, what I think about doing is, this record we made, there's not just, I wouldn't call it just a protest record or something. There are moments on there musically that are, to me, it's liberation, it's freeing. A song like Journey to the Spirit World that I did with Jackie Bird, who's coming to town on the 24th. Like, that song makes you feel better, I guess, anywhere you are. If you were at the DMV, if you were in prison, if you were, in your car and it was stalled by the side of the road. And I wanted to put as many of those kind of songs on there as possible. And then I also wanted to rebel against quarantine, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a lot of friends that made really cool records, you know, by themselves. And I was like, not only do I not know how to do that because I don't have the recording gear, but there's like 34 people that contributed to this record. And I love every single one of them, you know?
And it's a good metaphor of just, you know, like, you can't do it alone. And I don't think we should. I think that's a lesson I had to learn the hard way. And I feel like I still learn it every day that we're not supposed to do this alone. And so speaking of the collaborations, I actually want to play Annie Humphrey next, just because this Saturday is that is the bill at Ice House. But you have an incredible calendar coming up with this whole July residency there. Who do you have on deck after this Saturday? Who's going to be joining you the subsequent Saturdays?
Well, I have to say I'm so honored that Annie comes down from Leech Lake. She's a powerhouse. So this Saturday she'll open and we'll back her up. And then next Saturday, the 17th, I'm so excited that Jackie Bird has agreed to come over from South Dakota. She doesn't come here very often. She's been here for festivals and stuff, but I always want to say a lot of times these indigenous artists, they don't get invited to do a concert unless it says Native in the on the bill. And these are artists who, you know, you could hear them at First Avenue for all I think about it. And so Jackie Bird will be here the 17th, and we'll be a full band that day. And then the 24th is my friend Lars Larson, who has a conglomerate group called the Americana Death Squads. And it's kind of like, it's beautiful instrumental kind of cowboy Western music meets Tom Waits.
Love it.
And we're going to do some songs together. And then the last night of the residency on the 31st is Diane. Used to be known as Diane Miller, but just goes by Diane now, and I've known her for years. I've known Diane from Fargo, and I'm so excited. She's got a bunch of new music that's really cool. So
she's awesome. She actually visited the show last year. Probably November. What is time? But speaking of time, I don't know how much of it you have. So thank you for coming, but I want to get more to the desert island. Let's actually do Eat What You Kill by Annie Humphrey right now here on KFAI. All right, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I just always switching the mics. Jeremy Ilvasacker introduced me to Annie Humphrey, and I remember they were playing at the Astor, and it was just like mind blowing. Like I was just my jaw was just open, and I was just silent, just kind of taking it all in. Like, just power in her performance, for real. And it's
when I met him,
it's amazing, like that you mentioned Journey to the Spirit World, because that's actually the track I put on the mixtape that I'm going to play off the record.
Nice.
Sorry to cut you off. You met it when you met Annie.
Oh no, I just sometimes we're lucky. We are lucky that Minneapolis is Minneapolis. In other words, when I met Annie, she had a record in mind, and she's like, would I be interested in producing it? And I said, no.
Yeah.
You don't want me. You want my friend Jeremy. That's who you should. You know what I mean?
Oh, no way.
Yeah, he'll handle it for you like precious gems, and
yes.
So he produced this song that you're listening to now, and he produced her record, and then I don't know, we're just making it's like an encampment by the river that grows and swells,
yes.
Each day, like different people showing up in this little world that we're building, and you're all who have respect are welcome,
yes.
So,
and sorry, keep going.
No, I was gonna say it's nice that now that camp includes the Indigo Girls.
Heck yeah, it is. I think I love the way you put that, because it now with the internet, it's almost impossible to escape the fact that we're all connected, and you can try to deny it all up and down, but like we really are waves on the same ocean. That goes from people, but also like other organisms on this planet. Heck, like even with quantum entanglement, they figured out that like huge bodies of like in the astral world, stars, and like they are connected in some weird way, and they've observed this effect. So I'd really like how you put it, of just like, yeah, this is just all who have respect are welcome, and we really are all the same. So like we really all should be welcome. So just come hang out, like just drop the aggression, and come to the river.
Yeah, it's true, man. One of the songs I almost put on the list is I really do love Nick Cave's newest record, and he's got a song called Carnage, and the first line is, "I always seem to be saying goodbye and roaming through the mountains like a train."
Yeah,
and that's part of how it feels too. The encampment, whatever you want to call it, it grows. And then people have to go off and do their thing and fight their battles and be with their family, and then, kind of till next time. And I love that music can be a framework for that, like a reason to come around, and a reason to linger. And I just, I love my friends who can, who hunker down in basements and make, like just incredible recordings. I can't do that. So I'll do the thing that I can do, which is just like, put together a weird garden with some,
we all doing our part. Yeah. I noticed you actually sample Joe Hickerson on this latest record, and I was torn on playing that track until I saw the list, and I was just like, no, I want to. And Journey to the Spirit World was like, listening to the record was my favorite track.
Oh wow,
that's it's
so cool.
It's like the record's great. The textures are amazing. The tones of the instruments are incredible. But that was like I don't know if it's just me, like maybe it reflects on like what I'm going through now, of like just like, hey, that's the tune that spoke to me. But
that's so cool to hear. I really love that. I really love hearing that, because there's a small handful of people who have said that very thing about that song, and it's one of my favorite songs, in the world. And so that's really cool, man.
I appreciate. It's like I love when those like little moments come together. Like just when you mentioned it on the talk break, I was just like, yes, just because like you never know. Like sometimes I think oftentimes my favorite thing that happens on this show is when someone was like, you know what? I was going to put this record on here, and I just figured we didn't have time, and I end up like putting it in the mix later. And it's just like, those are always those moments. So it's like, I was so psyched when you brought up that particular track. Cause like, I think for me, this show, the reason I do the list is cause like there's only so many questions you can ask about art itself without just like, well, or like me personally, whenever I get interviewed, like sometimes I wish I could go full David Lynch and be like, I don't know, man, just listen to the record. What do you think about it? What do you
Yeah.
So like, and just trying to like ask artists those questions, it's just like it's I feel like it's way better when it's just like, yeah, this is the song I want to talk about. It's like, me too.
yeah. The cool thing about your show too is, I mean, I love being asked to make lists, but I can guarantee you that if I were to make the list tonight, it would look different, I'm sure. I mean, some of those records are they're monuments, but also you know, when they give Tom Waits a Mojo magazine issue, they usually let him pick like 100, you know, because that's how it is for people who love music, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And even that 100 would change, I feel like, over time. And it's not about better or worse. It's like that Nick Cave line says it better than we ever could, of just like it, because there are those moments where you feel like you're always saying goodbye to something or someone or a place or a time, and the music is going to change and grow with you. And like sometimes it's not like a linear thing. Sometimes it's just a thing you end up circling back to,
right?
And it's waiting for you there. And sometimes that's when you actually discover hidden meanings, or meanings you know, something that meant to you a little bit differently now that there's some water under the bridge.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. Things start to swirl all morning long here at the house. You know, my son is 15 months old. He was born during the beginning of COVID.
Wow.
I mean, the very beginning. So he had a year of quarantine. Now he's meeting people, and we're down there listening to Joe Hickerson all morning. One of his aunties playing some folk music for her this morning downstairs. Like, yeah, those things, when they start to swirl, things start to get interesting, you know.
It's hilarious because Joe Hickerson is literally the next song on the playlist.
Yeah, see, we got it, man.
It's just like it's just one of those synchronicities. Yep. I don't know. I feel like I gotta watch my tone when I talk about that stuff, because then it's just you get deep into the woo. But
right, yeah.
It's not. It's, you know, it's not always a terrible place to be.
No, it's not. Yeah. It's okay to talk, as long as you're talking about it, as long as you're still mainly conjuring it, you know.
Yeah.
Some people are good at conjuring, they never even have to say a word, and some people, all they do is talk about it and no conjuring. So hopefully we can do both.
There is like the path of the Zen like Wu Wei thing of just like letting those happen. Yeah. And trying, instead of trying to acquire these things, try to attract them in some way. And that's like ain't that a balance?
Yeah. Yeah, man, I could tell you and I could have a very, very long conversation, like maybe 4 days, because
well, that's what I love about this show. Is like I say, like, I don't expect people to say the full 2 hours. It usually just happens by accident. But like we are 30 minutes in. I don't know how much time you have.
I'm doing good. Yeah, I'm doing good. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have time for another talk break?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Because I would love to talk about the fact that I want to talk about more of like the features of like, because you did the Above the Prairie, you had John Trudell on, and you have Jackie Bird on this new record, and then you had this song sampled on. I just kind of want to talk about that on the air a little bit.
Absolutely.
Just because you're here.
Yeah, I'm game to talk about anything. I got a auntie doing the babysitting downstairs, and I got grandma coming over today. So my new job is dad, and I'm in good shape today. So that's
a big position.
Yeah. It's a pretty good job, actually.
Nice. It's like I guess to show you can't. Well, I mean, at this point, I feel like that's all jobs. I kind of like what you were bringing up about music earlier, because I was talking to a friend about this, where it's just like, it seems like everyone else is making money off of my music but me. And it's not that it's about making money, but I do think it's more of like a symptom of the way we've kind of stacked our society. It's like we value this so much. It's the most important thing in the world, but not monetarily.
No. There was a journalist up at the Line 3 event on the Mississippi, and It was nice. It was good talking to him. He asked thoughtful questions, and I was almost having trouble explaining to him. And then I was like, "Look, let's just put it this way. Spotify is the end bridge of the music business. I mean, there's all kinds of ways that analogy won't work, but there's some really important ones where it does. It's extractive, takes what it wants, makes all the profit, gives almost nothing back. You know what I mean? And also, it doesn't have to be that way. You know what I mean? Like this is there's some very specific people making choices about that.
Yes.
So thank God for, there's a fighting chance. Thank God for Bandcamp. Thank God that people have supported Kickstarters and GoFundMes and ordered records and stuff. Like I've been doing concerts now outside for a couple months. I'm selling so many records because people know if they buy it from me, some dude in khakis is not getting the money. It's like
it is honestly absurd how much even from I have a tape on Bandcamp that I just put up there for like $3.50, and I was looking at the numbers of how many streams I needed just to make that $3.50. Is absurd. I think lifetime on that record, it's like less than $10 in royalties.
Yeah.
And it's like, so you can just pay an artist $5, and that's like more money they will get in 10,000 streams on Spotify. And I get that there's a whole mechanism of server traffic and someone has to keep those lights on. But if that's the case, why is the royalty rate for playing something on the radio 9 cents? Or and you can't even devote a penny per stream to these artists.
If we could apply it to other industries, it would become very obvious very quick. If you had, the sous chef is about to open a restaurant. If there was some organization that came in between his kitchen and his dining room and gave away the food for free,
it would be like, wait, what? Why are we doing it this way?
if you made jeans for a living and I came in and took your jeans and gave them away for free, and then I, sold advertising for the shirt that I was wearing, and then I threw you like a $2, you'd be like, I made those jeans, man.
I'll take more than $2. Stand by. We're about to go back on the air. Joe Hickerson, Bury Me Not on the Lone Prairie. We also heard Rainer before that, and Annie Humphrey at the top of that set. So that track, you actually sample that track a little bit on your new record. How did you get that together?
It's actually kind of I'm a huge fan of Joe Hickerson, and Joe Hickerson is alive and well out in Portland, Oregon right now. And he's even less technically proficient than I am. So I asked him, would you want to sing? Well, you want to sing on this song? Because his is one of the most definitive kind of early versions. Yeah. He's got all the verses, but he wrote an article about that song, Bury Me Not on the Lone Prairie, used to be called, Bury Me Not on the Lonesome Ocean. It was an ocean song, a watery tune. And so as it came over from Europe, adapted to America and the prairies, it's been sung by everybody from Johnny Cash and Jeff Buckley, Justin Vernon. I mean, everybody. Yeah. So, but Joe, he said, I can't sing on your song mostly because I don't have a means for that. But he said, if you want to use my recording, go ahead. And
that's awesome.
I got to meet him in person. I tracked him down. A lot of this is detective work. I could be a private eye at this point, but and I visited Portland and I said, I wrote to the Folk Society and I was like, where can a guy see Joe Hickerson sing? And they said, well, he does go to this Irish pub. It's kind of like the Merlin's Rest of Portland. Amazing. and he sings a cappella a song group on every Tuesday, you know. So I went down and met him, and those kind of things, looping that in, like he's got a beautiful version. And that song, we decided to, as many times as it's been done, there's one of the versions that's called The Dying Cowboy. And that was the version I was drawn to, is we wanted to put the cowboy of manifest destiny. We wanted to put him firmly in the ground, in a lonely, unmarked grave. And then, you know, because the earth has the last word on these things, you know. The cowboy doesn't win. Not that kind of cowboy. There's other kinds of cowboy, but that cowboy who went out to conquer the West, you know, he doesn't.
The colonial cowboy.
Yeah, colonial cowboy is not winning anymore. I mean, you know,
no. There's only so many. There's only so much time you can keep that grift going. I think, like the truth has a funny way of just floating back to the top. Right. No pun intended, because I had no idea the origins of that song. It's like you brought up Johnny Cash. That was the version I was introduced to, and that is a song like I've heard passed around so many like folk circles, so many folk festivals, so many jams, and I had no idea the history of that song. I had and that just puts it into a completely different light for me. And so I also want to talk about the fact that you are collaborating with Jackie Bird, and like you've been lucky enough to collaborate with a lot of heavy hitters in your career. And so how did you go about communicating with Jackie? Like, hey, do you want to be a part of the song? Was this something you had met before? Did you have the song already and you reached out to her, or did the song kind of happen before it was recording? That collaboration.
Those are all good questions. I mean, for me, collaboration, to do it right, it involves a lot of homework, you know. But the homework, the research, to me, it's not work. It's what I love to do. If I, you know, Journey to the Spirit World was written by this tremendous Lakota songwriter named Buddy Redbow, who, you know, if you drive around on reservation radios across the country, he's a hero, you know. Indigenous folks know Buddy Redbow. They know his songs well, you know. They're soundtracks to their lives. But outside of those circles, not many people have ever been able to come encounter with him. But I heard it on the radio in Porcupine, South Dakota, Keeley Reservation Radio, great little station. And I, you know, probably listened to the song 500 times in my life before the thought ever came, you know, maybe if we got some help here, you know, from Keith and Jackie and Quiltman, we could do this song and breathe new life into it. So I didn't know Jackie. I know of her. I love her music so much. And I wrote to her and I said, here's the situation. You know what I mean? I can hear your voice on this record, and I would be so honored to have you. And now we kind of struck up a friendship over that. And to bring her to town on the 17th to the Ice House, like, I'm so excited. I've never seen her play. She plays mostly powwows and memorials, and I'm like, we're gonna put you on the Ice House patio. How lucky is Ice House, man? You know, like
how lucky are we? You know, like it's incredible. Like I just love the fact that you have the reverence for this material, but also the just reaching out and actually, like, not just getting someone, like, in my opinion, getting the right folks for it's just like, oh, it's like I couldn't imagine anyone else singing on this once you got it. And it's just so Annie Humphreys this week, but you have Jackie Bird next week. And I want to be very cognizant of the time, because I realized I should have been playing a lovely message from our underwriting crew. But right now we are talking with David Huckfeld here on Desert Islands. This is the show where I make mixtapes for my guests based on the 10 records they bring to a desert island. Today is David Huckfeld Day. But we're going to have more from that tape, and we're going to hear something from his latest record after this. KFAI is This is my Achilles heel of radio. There's these carts that we got to play, and I play them.
Yeah, you do.
Just not at the time always they're supposed to be played, and so I had to get that in there. Hold on. There we go. There's a few of them. I accidentally built up a backlog.
Yeah.
So that let's up next we're gonna have some Keith Sekola and Link Ray. Sekola. Thank you. I am one of those. I have severe ADD to the point where it almost manifests in dyslexia. So sometimes words that I read are just like, that's just kind of. But the problem is, people never correct me. Like my friend Pear, I was mispronouncing his name for 2 hours on the air, and then we were playing a show later that week, and someone called him Pear, and I was just like, "Oh, come on, man! I was
throw a ball here, throw a ball to a guy, you know?
Yeah, like it's you're not being rude. You're doing a service, like correcting. It's one of those things. So yeah, thank you. But I wanted to make sure I played Link Ray because one, Link Ray is like mandatory listening for all my students of just like, but also does not get credit for his impact on rock and roll, in my opinion. And like, there's an amazing documentary called Rumble. Where it talks about that and just like the entire native influence on rock and roll that is almost like erased, where like people like try to not to talk about it. Like even like Hendrix, like they would try to ignore the fact that like he had that heritage. It's just like so weird, and it's just like if you haven't seen Rumble, check out Rumble.
I sure have, man.
It's so good.
It's complicated. You have to sit with the idea for more than 5 minutes. Just like you have to sit with the idea that Led Zeppelin didn't write those songs. That they, you know, Howlin' Wolf songs and Willie Dixon songs, and
that's actually one of my favorite things to do. Although that might be the punk rock in me, but like just being a music educator for a long time, one of my favorite things to do is bring up the fact that Led Zeppelin didn't write those songs. And the Beatles are fine. They're fine, but they're not that great.
These are unpopular opinions, but very important, you know? Very important opinions.
I'd say unpopular, yes, exactly. Unpopular opinions, but I agree. It's important to be like, look, I'm not telling you not to enjoy the music.
Yeah.
I'm telling you to stop jamming it down my throat.
Hey, you know who JT Bates is, don't you?
Oh yeah, we had him. We were talking a few months back, and he's great to talk to.
Hates the Beatles. Hates.
I know.
Thinks Ringo is one of the worst drummers that ever, sat on the stool.
JT is someone that I feel like I would let him have that opinion. Whereas like if you hear me say like Ringo's overrated, I am one of the worst drummers in town. I am serviceable at best. I have no space saying that. And I will also concede that Ringo was a pretty good songwriter's drummer. Like he kind of served the song and what was needed, but like
I think JT would too, but for the purpose of argument.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's only music at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But I do think there is a larger conversation of like, okay, yeah, this music's great. It's great, but there's a lot of great music out there. Why has this become part of this like rock and roll canon?
Yeah.
Where it's like it's almost like a marketing tool where it's just like, oh, we've ranked the music, so you don't have to.
Yeah.
And if you differ from this opinion, you listen to the wrong music. I'm like, I don't think we should be doing that with like let kids hate the Beatles or let kids like come to the Beatles naturally. But like do we need to have this propaganda campaign of like you need to listen to Zeppelin, the Beatles, the Stones? It's like I agree, there's great records, but it's not the end all be all of everything.
Put it this way, man. I spend part of every year down in Tucson, Arizona.
Yeah.
There are Chipotles in Tucson. Okay?
Yeah.
But I gotta tell you, there's about 1,400 places that aren't Chipotle that are the best Mexican food you're probably ever gonna find in your life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like some of it's context where it's like, all you have is 3 TV stations and you're gonna see the Beatles on there. But now that we have 30 million ways to find music, eat somewhere else. Try it.
Yeah,
that
is a really good analogy because I don't want to yuck anyone's yum.
Yeah.
And just be like, dude, stop listening to the Beatles. It's like, what? Because some people live in towns where it's just like, I mean, I agree, but like Chipotle is the only place to eat in this town. I get that. You can't. There's no need to shame people for that. I think I almost bring this up with just a mischievous smile because I don't think we should be shaming people for listening to the Beatles. I just kind of like poking the bear of just like, it's whenever someone says like greatest thing of all time, I'm like, oh really?
Yeah, for sure. And the truth is, having been in a band that has multiple songwriters, just seeing that is. In one way, it's apex. I mean, when you're so busy putting out hits that you can't even bother to record George Harrison songs, then you do have a pretty good band,
let's be real. They were great writers, and
tremendous.
It's definitely. I think now we get to experience the Beatles in a new way because the internet has pretty much ensured that a lot of time is happening all at once.
Yeah.
And depending on what astrophysicists you talk to, they say that's happening all the time. But like all the content that has ever existed, like a lot of the younger kids are coming into this without any context, and genre is becoming kind of irrelevant because of it, because they're not going like, I'm going to make the next great this record. They're just going like, oh, I like that too. Oh, that's pretty cool. I like this. Hey, let's just form a band. What kind of band? I don't know. This kind of has a cool thing, and this has a cool thing, and this has a cool thing.
Yeah.
So it's just like not really shaming people for like listening to the hits, because like it's like, hell, I'm not going to shame people for liking Nickelback. What's wrong with liking Nickelback? They have a lot of famous songs. They're not my favorite band, but they're like, I'm not going to hate on someone for liking something.
Right. No. You'll get around to, if you want to, you'll get around to shaming yourself for liking Nickelback.
Yeah. I think I do that more than shame other people. I sit in my Catholic guilt which is weird because I'm trying to get rid of that. Everything goes but the guilt. I don't know if that's an Irish thing or a Catholic thing.
You're supposed to drink that away, Doc. Drink that guilt.
Mm-hmm. It's baked in. It is baked in. And I think there are more productive uses of shame. I don't even know at this point. I don't even know if shame is productive. I think that the fat cats running the world are so fat and happy that like you could try to shame them. They'll be like, okay, end.
Well, shame depends on the people. You can only really be shamed by people whose opinions you value. So you have to find them. You have to find them where it hurts. It's like it's like strategic shame, like otherwise it's just it's a compliment. If I don't like you and then you don't like me, I'm not going to be worried about what you say. But we got to do some insider shame trading, like where does it matter? You want your picture on the cover of Time magazine? We're not putting it on there, sorry. I can tell you too. Are we gonna do? I probably have a few more minutes.
We got the next track. We got 2 minutes left in this one, and the next track's a bit long. So if you got a jet, I totally understand. This is like a pretty free-form thing of just like stay as long as you like. I know you got a lot going on, But stay as long as you can. But if you got to get going, it's totally fine.
Well, can we do this? Can I go downstairs and just check on my son and then come back up and we can do one more kind of short talk segment? Does that sound good?
That sounds perfect. Okay. Yeah, it'll be right before I play Journey to the Spirit World, so that'll be a good bumper to just be like, hey, I'm here. This is the record. We're doing the thing. Yeah, so do that.
What song is after Indian Cars?
Look at this. Have you ever heard A Tribe Called Red?
Yeah.
Like I love that record.
I'm gonna meet those guys one day. I know it. I look forward to it. I'll be back in a couple minutes.
Yeah, I'll see you soon. And speaking of that, I have to type in the metadata of that track right now. So now, all you glorious listeners in Radioland, if you're hopping on to the stream right now, this is Desert Islands. And I'm speaking with David Huckbelt, who just stepped out to check on his child. We're going to be chatting a little bit more shortly. But you get to watch me make sure I am correctly spelling everything in the metadata, because sometimes Spinatron doesn't know what I'm talking about. It's doing its best, but it can only go so far. And that is how the radio sausage is made, my friends. That is what I'm doing. I'm typing and making sure all that is said and done. Although, I feel like the weird thing is I don't know why I worry about it, because sometimes I don't exactly get the correct times on the playlists. Uh-oh, should I have not admitted that? Am I giving away trade secrets? But yeah, I do my best. It is a live show. I am without a net. I'm without a net right now. I am going to be speaking with David Huckbelt. He will be back pretty soon here. But we're going to hear a cut from his latest record. I snuck some Pines in there. I don't know how he's going to feel about that, but I did because I think it's a cool record. And then we also have more local music. I'm going to play Charlie Parr's new one and the new Johnson and Drake. And then once he comes back, you get to hear me reiterate all that again. And that's what we're doing. I'm going to take a drink. I don't know if you can hear this. Is this going to get us pulled? It might get us pulled. Who knows? And now I'm setting up the metadata of the next song because I'm going to get distracted by reading the calendar, and I know what's going to happen. Oh wait, what's going on here? Oh, okay. See, I wish I could like pull the camera over, because every once in a while, Mason has remote access to. There's like 5 screens I'm looking at. One is playing the music. One is running this. One is basically running our Discord and all that, which I am criminally bad at keeping up with the conversation. So if you're trying to chat with me on that, I will try to give you a shout out if I see it. And then one is the computer that runs the underwriting, and every once in a while the mouse moves, and it's a very unsettling feeling. But I know it's a benevolent ghost. I'm basically just talking to people how radio sausage is made and why I'm looking at a bunch of things like an ADD riddled squirrel, just typing all the stuff that needs to be done. So basically what happens at the top of the hour is I kind of just play this instrumental and do a rundown of shows, and that'll be a good time to just kind of like reiterate, because statistically the top of the hour, new people join, and it's like sometimes you just get a new audience. So like it would be a perfect time to just kind of reiterate, room enough, time enough, the residency. Anything else you want to mention too? Let's make a point to mention it there too.
Yeah, I probably have a couple minutes before just to kind of wrap up at least my segment, and then that'll be perfect.
Yeah. So it's like we got 90 seconds left on this track, and as soon as it ends, I'll just be kind of yakking, back announce over it, and then once I read the calendar, which will take like a minute probably, that'll be like perfect time to do like the wrap up, and yeah. So like how much time do you think 3 minutes is enough? You got that? 3 to 5 minutes?
Yep.
Okay, let's go for that. All right, let's make sure we got everything set up for that. And hold on. There we go. Okay, there's the calendar. I might have to switch to this mic. Because otherwise, it just looks weird. All right, 30 seconds.
Perfect.
And then we will be back on the air. Not that we're not on the air. It's just like the internet's just kind of like a clubhouse, I feel like, and I think it's kind of fun to have this aspect of it, just because it's more of like I feel like sometimes when people come on the show, and you're probably used to this with the press junkets, like you're talking about the thing and you just kind of have like the things where it's just like, yes, I want this to be a platform for that, but also let your hair down a little bit. Let's talk about stuff you want to talk about and all that. But all right. Yeah, well, thanks for doing it. Here we go. Stand by. Okay. That was Tribe Called Red. We also heard some Link Ray and Keith Sokola in that set. We're running out of time, so it's the top of the hour here at KFAI, and this is the time where I do the local calendar, local music, all that stuff, anything going on. We're going to talk about it now. So tonight, the Whiskey Rock and Roll Club is going to be at Mortimer's doing a live album recording. Porcupine is going to be on this set, as well as Brian Erb and the Outstanding Achievements in the Field of Excellence. That is a great band name. That is tonight. Also tonight, Groovin' in the Garden, Leslie Rich and the Rocket Soul Choir at Como Gardens. Thursday, Gentleman Speaker and Ruben, the 331. Also Thursday, Smelkin Ernesto, Human, Pool Boy at Mortimer's. Mortimer's is back. We are back with Mortimer's. Also, what's back? The 7th Street Entry. Horse Girl and our friends Cat Bath are going to be at the 7th Street Entry this Thursday. Cat Bath, another great band name. Friday, Monica LaPlante, Ev, Partial Traces at the 7th Street Entry. Pop at France, performances on the Plaza. This is going to feature Doug Collins. We'll also have We Are the Willows and J.E. Sunday at bands at Bellevue on Friday. A lot going on Friday. Saturday, Little Fever's Tight Chat, Folios at Palmer's, Carnage the Executioner, The Orange Goodness, Plant-Based Poets at the Hook and Ladder. That's also David Huckfeldt's residency, which we will talk about shortly. Dakota Day Paul is going to continue his live stream series on Sunday, 3 songs at 10 a.m. And the Lady Spruce release show, that is going to be on Sunday. Please message for the address because that is a private event. Looking ahead, we got Samaja's Birthday Bash. That is a Mini Aux Presents event. JSO Creative and Student 1, Roots Rock and Deep Blues. That's coming up. Javier Trejo goes live from the Terminal every Tuesday and only every Monday. I think I missed something, or you just want to hear me mispronounce your band name on the air, email it to desertislandskfai@gmail.com. This is community radio, and I curate that whole segment from what you send to me. This is a constant conversation, so let's keep talking. Speaking of talking, David, you're still here. Let's talk. And I know you don't have too much time, so I really appreciate you sticking around. Let's go over the who, the what, the where, the why. I'm going to play a track from Room Enough, Time Enough, Journey in the Spirit World. That features Jackie Bird, who's going to be with you next week. But who is playing with you this weekend at Ice House?
Well, Saturday night will be my dear friend Annie Humphrey coming down from Leech Lake. Yes. Annie is a tremendous songwriter, activist, mother, grandmother, auntie, You know, she makes maple syrup for us, and there's always a bounty of gifts that come from Annie. So I just want to tell anybody who happens to be listening, you know, these ice house patio shows they're really comfortable. The courtyard is nice. It's you know, it's not too loud. The food is good. You know what I mean? And as far as a place to gather, Ice House has done a lot to give people some hope during even the hard times last year, and now they're coming out of it. So we have a different opener every week, every Saturday night. The shows start at 6 o'clock. You know, I just basically took it as a chance to get some of my favorite songwriters and musicians at the same place at the same time. So I'll be joined by Jeremy Ylvasaker and JT Bates. Liz Draper's gonna play bass for us.
She's great.
Coming up, and I'm just really excited to have the opportunity to play for some folks here locally.
Yeah, I'm excited you could spare the time, come down today, because this calendar is excellent. It's excellently curated. The record sounds great. Room Enough, Time Enough. We're going to spin something from that. I know you don't have much time. Is there anything you would like listeners to know about before we get going here?
You know, I think that as we come back, you know, from quarantine and the hardships of the last year, we can take the best of it and leave some of the worst of our former lives, you know, not the worst, but the difficult parts. So I think that engagement, you know, if you feel like I do, being able to see people with your own two eyes and hug people, and it's a renewal that we're in, and the music that we're trying to make has that theme kind of stamped all over it. So I just hope everyone out there listening is doing well, is embracing finally a rainy break in our hot, you know, climate boiling world that we live in. And just thank you so much for everybody for sticking with it and sticking together and trying to stop line 3 and do the things that need to be done. You know,
absolutely,
it's a pleasure. Well, thank you, Doc.
Thank you for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure having you on Desert Islands. If you're just tuning in here at KFAI, this is Desert Islands, the show where I make mixtapes based on my guests' 10 records to bring to a desert island. I make one for David Huckfeld. And let's listen to some David Huckfeld. Here's Journey to the Spirit World featuring Jackie Bird here on KFAI. Thank you so much. That was great. That was great.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I am definitely going to try to come to one of these. I am going to be out of the state for most of July. Okay. So bear with me, but I would love to come on down. It's an amazing lineup, and thanks for taking the time today. This was a lot of fun.
If you're gonna come on down, drop me a note or something. I'd love to see you meet in person, and just be in touch. It's such a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah, likewise. And I got all my shots, so.
Good. All right. I don't want anybody to get fired. As long as no one's in trouble, then I'm good.
Exactly. All right, David, good to see you. Stay safe out there.
You too.
Have fun at the shows